drifting. He fends off Very Elegant and DALASAN, and a Dave goes back to back. The Beast of Britain's done it. But nature straightened the TJ, and this is an annihilation. Today we farewell an Australian icon, the greatest of all time. Winks wins a third, Queen Elizabeth.
Hello and welcome to the Good Oil Podcast for a Friday night flutter on Australian racing. I'm your host, Peter Thomas Fornatale, traveling the world myself, not to Australia, where I wish I was, frankly, but hey, South Florida is nice too. And I'm here with two guests, very excited to get their thoughts on an exciting night of racing. We will start with a man from the land down under himself, from TwinSpires, Andrew Brown. Andrew, how are things?
Doing really well, PTF. Very excited to be talking Australian racing. All the good horses are back down under as they build towards the championships in early April. So it's an exciting time of racing down under. The big story this week, though, is the rain. It's the big wet in New South Wales. The rain has been falling. They've had upwards of 12 inches over the last 8 days, but the track played really well on a heavy 10 last week, and we expect the same. Every horse should get its chance.
For USA viewers, listeners who might not know that idea of the heavy 10, the ground not just rated with a word, but also a numerical condition, 10 being the heaviest of all, if I'm correct about that, Andrew, right?
It's as heavy as it can get before the meeting's cancelled, Pete. So yeah, it's what they call a bog track. You'll be looking for horses that can get their toe into the ground. But as I said before, it played really fair. Last week, horses came from off the pace. They led, and every horse gets its chance at Randwick. It's a beautiful track.
Also joining us on the show today, very happy to welcome in, representing In the Money Media. You've seen her work in a variety of places, including very recently on the Sam Houston Race Park feed and through their social media. Jessica Paquette, welcome to the show.
Thank you for having me. This is an exciting card up ahead. And I think I agree with Andrew. I think the weather really dictates kind of the way this is all going to unfold. Those watching from stateside, keep an eye on the weather.
In a previous life, Jessica, I know one of your jobs, part of it involved staying up late and watching some Aussie racing from all around the world. What is it that attracts you as a fan about the Australian product?
So I love pedigrees and I love turf racing. So Australian racing is a natural fit for me. About this time last year, I was spending quite a few late nights watching some Australian racing and racing from Turkey when I was working at Trackist. So I got to familiarize myself a little bit.
Very good. We have a TwinSpires Sky Racing World promotional offer we want to tell you about before we start the show in earnest. Andrew, what can you tell us about this opportunity?
Yeah, this is a fantastic promotion in conjunction with TwinSpires and their partner Sky Racing World. There's $15,000 worth of cash up for offer over the next 6 weeks. Every Friday night for the next 6 weeks, you can actually win share in $2,500 worth of cash. Simply put a $10 win bet on every race. If that horse wins, you get 100 points. If it comes second, 50, third, 20 points. It's a leaderboard competition. So throughout the night, you're wanting to try and get as many 100-point wins as possible. At the end of the night, if you come out on top, $1,000 cash straight back into your TwinSpires accounts. Also prizes for second, third, fourth, and fifth for the other $1,500. Terrific promotion thanks to TwinSpires and Sky Racing World.
That's a really cool opportunity. And a lot of our audience on the In the Money Media side, contest players, this is a contest they're going to want to check out, a way to play along while following these Aussie races. Let's dive into our first race, the Group 1 Randwick Guineas. Before we talk about who we like, Andrew, give us a little bit of information about what the betting market is doing over there.
Yeah, sure. Well, it's been one-way traffic for number 1 ANAMOE in this particular race. Opened up even money into a shade of odds on now. I think we'll get black odds on the day. The second favourite, CONVERGE, from the Gay Waterhouse and Adrian Bott barn, has been a few nibbles for it at now into 4-1, open 6-1. Only other runner under double figures is number 3, HILAL, who's pretty rock solid at around the 5-1 quote.
Andrew, let's keep it with you for your selection or selections in the Randwick Guineas.
Well, I'm going to be with the horse that probably 90% of Australia is going to be on, Pete, and that's the Star Godolphin Colt, number 1, ANAMOE. Won the Caulfield Guineas, a big race in Melbourne over the spring carnival last year, and has been really working into his campaign beautifully this time in Sydney. Last time out, won the Hobartville on a soft track at Rose Hill, and just did what he had to do. It was a beautiful ride from Tommy Berry on that particular occasion. HILAL, actually a competitor here, came up at him on the fence with a late burst, but I think when ANAMOE clocked it, he dug in, and I think that's a really good sign, stepping up to the mile at Randwick. The mile, much more suitable as well. Trainer James Cummings said after the race that he'll have ANAMOE Cherry Ripe, which is actually the name of an Australian chocolate bar, but it also means in top condition for this particular race tonight. And as I said before, I think the mile is perfect, and ANAMOE is going to be really tough to beat. HILAL, that was a career best race back on the fence last time out. The obvious Quinella for me. And for third, I've got number 10, War Eternal. But yeah, I think ANAMOE is going to be far too hard to beat. And I think it's 100 points if you're playing that TwinSpires leaderboard challenge for it.
Strong push from Andrew there. Jessica, is it as simple as he makes it sound in the Randwick Guineas?
It's never quite that simple, though I wouldn't talk anyone off of ANAMOE. He is obviously the one to beat. The thing I liked most about his effort last time out was just how game and tenacious he was for a relatively inexperienced young horse. You know, he showed a professionalism and a tenacity that you don't often see when they're that young. You know, I'll try to be a little bit clever, maybe try to beat him with CONVERGE. This horse has a terrific pedigree by Frankel. I will shamelessly admit I am a Frankel fangirl across all continents. But the second dam is a horse named Melhora Inda, who's a graded stakes winner in New York on the turf. He showed he can run with this group. At this point, he needs to show he can win against this group. For a little bit more of a price, COASTWATCH I'll use kind of underneath in my exotics. I don't know if he's at this point truly a Group 1 type of winner, but maybe he can get a piece of the lower exotics.
Let's pivot to the second race we're going to talk about. It is the Canterbury Stakes. Andrew, we'll come back to you for a report on the market in a moment, but let's keep it with Jessica for her selection here before we get to that market report.
I love number 9, Forbidden Love, kind of by taking on some male rivals here. She's a filly taking on the boys, no issue with that. More than ready in the female family. And just a broader discussion, can we briefly touch on the impact he has had worldwide on the thoroughbred breed? He has bettered the sport and the breed for decades now. I got to see him at the farm he stayed at Windstar several years ago, and I had seen him when he was a racehorse in Todd Pletcher's barn when I was a horse crazy weird kid showing up at Todd's barn. And he was always stabled next to my all-time favorite racehorse, Graham Hall. So I have a real fondness for More Than Ready, and getting to see him as an adult stallion was like a really moving, I was just like standing there weeping at Windstar. It was a whole moment. But what an impact he's had on the breed. I thought this filly was just so impressive last time out. Kind of reeling back on relatively quick rest. February 14th to February 26th, like right in today. But sometimes with horses like that, you strike while the iron's hot. My question mark here is going to be the heavy surface. I do on a track that is going to be that boggy. I want to see a horse that's lighter bodied and a little bit more uphill and light on their feet. So I do like her pedigree for that as well. I didn't get a good sense watching the videos what kind of stature she really has, but I do want to see kind of a finer bodied horse on a track like that.
Andrew, what is the betting looking like in the Canterbury Stakes so far? And are you in tune with the market, or you have something creative?
Well, the punters down under, Pete, have been all over Jessica's tip, Forbidden Love, who unexpectedly is in this race because this wasn't the original plan, but the horse did actually win really well on the heavy 10 at Randwick last week. And with Zaki being scratched and sent down to Melbourne, the owners, Richard and Michael Friedman, the trainers decided to actually run Forbidden Love in this particular race and try their luck. And why not? She's been well supported from 3-1 into around 6-4 now. Second favorite is a horse that Americans might recognize, number 10, Lighthouse, from Ellen J. Foxwood, who Jamie Roth and her family sent down under a couple of months ago, and the horse has just been absolutely on fire. She's taken all before and comes out of a great Group 1 down there. She's been well supported too, was 10-1 on the all-in market and is now trading at around the 4-1 mark. And other than that, the other one's under double figures. Number 8, Law of Indices at 5-1. And my selection, number 3, Private Eye. I'm going for a little bit of value here at around the 6-1 quote. This is the Epsom winner from last campaign. He's actually won first off the layoff. He resumes here. He's won first off the layoff before at Randwick, is 2 for 2 on the heavy going. And he's had 3 trials heading into this to get him ready. So I think Private Eye is going to be really forward and give his supporters a good shout here. So I like Private Eye for first. I've gone with Jessica's tip, number 9, Forbidden Love for second, and 10, Lighthouse for third.
Let's talk about the third race we're going to be diving into on the show. That's the Challenge Stakes. Andrew, we'll keep it with you. Same double question. What's going on in the betting, and who do you think is going to win?
Well, bettors have only got eyes for two horses here. Number one, Nature Strip, the world's best sprinter, who's a touch of odds on. And number two, Eduardo, who's currently around the 6-4 quote. Outside of them, it is 25-1 the field. So if you like anything outside of Nature Strip and Eduardo, you're going to get decent odds.
Good to hear. Where does your dart land, as it were?
Well, I think if you're playing the TwinSpires leaderboard challenge tonight, if you select Nature Strip or Eduardo, you're either going to get 100 points or 50 points. I think they're a very obvious Quinella. Nature Strip was desperately lucky last time out in the Lightning Stakes up the straight down in Melbourne, blew the start, but rattled home and just missed behind stablemate Home Affairs. He's just so classy, but we're heading up to Randwick, and I think Eduardo is just a little better suited around the turn. And if you go back, these guys have met each other 8 times, Eduardo and Nature Strip. Nature Strip leads 5-3, but second off the layoff at Randwick over the 5 furlongs, Eduardo has actually won the last 2. So I'm going to side with Eduardo to upset the favorite. I think for third, lots of value there, but number 4, SPLINTEX, but I'm with Eddie.
I like that angle, and I like the fact that you're going to get a little better of a price there. Best sprinters in the world come from Australia, and this is a race I can't wait to check out. Jessica, let's bring you back in for your thoughts on this one. Are you with one of the big two?
I mean, I think it's tough to get past them. These are the kind of horses that get me excited about horse racing. They're fun, old warriors, brilliantly talented. I thought I was being a little bit clever trying to beat them with Trekking, who I just think is a really neat, hard-knocking type of horse. 40 starts, 10 wins. I loved his step forward last time out. Is a big, encouraging step in the right direction. I know he hasn't seen the winner's circle in quite some time, but I thought he was really kind of heading towards a breakthrough performance. My only question mark with him is the soft going. I don't think this is a horse that really loves a heavy, boggy track. I do kind of lean towards Eduardo on top here, but Trekking, I think he could show up.
All right, good stuff. We talked a little bit about an American angle earlier in the show with Jessica and her points about More Than Ready and the impact he's had on the breed worldwide and in Australia in particular. But Andrew, how about you? Do you have an American angle on this card that might be a nice way in for some of our USA viewers and listeners to get stuck into this Friday night action?
Yeah, well, I mean, I think the obvious one is the one that we've already touched on, and that's Lighthouse for this card on Friday night from L&J Foxwoods. I touched on the horse just a little bit before, and started its career, the Kentucky bred at Santa Anita, and then L&J Foxwood shipped her down to Australia, and she's just been absolutely on fire. Won on debut down there, and has come out of some sensational Group 1 races against some of Australia's best sprinters on the turf. Tofane last time out is an absolute superstar, and Lighthouse ran within a couple of lengths. I was actually texting with Jamie Roth the other day. She said she did her semester abroad down in Australia about 20 years ago, but at that point was not interested in Australian racing. But she has now indicated that based on the success that Lighthouse is having down there, this might be just the first of many horses they start to race down in Australia. So that is Lighthouse, our American angle for this Friday night's racing.
And I had this idea, I'm going off script now, but I had this idea to bring in a little bit of a horse racing, how to speak Australian type of a segment. Let's start with the title of the show. What the heck is good oil?
Right, yeah, well, that's probably a good one to explain, isn't it? Considering it is the title of the show. The good oil, it's an old phrase, basically along the lines of what's the best tips on the card, effectively. What are your best picks? What are some sneaky tips? Any late mail, I guess, is another phrase that's used that's similar to the good oil. But yeah, it's also, if you ask somebody what's the good oil on Friday night, you're effectively asking them for a couple of picks.
I love it. Good stuff. Well, I want to thank you, Andrew. I want to thank you, Jessica, as well. Before we get out of here, just want to remind folks about this really cool TwinSpires promo we've got going Friday night. Remind people one more time, Andrew, how they can get involved.
Yes, so go to the offers page on the TwinSpires app or at twinspires.com. It's the Sydney Autumn Carnival leaderboard promotion. $15,000 of cash up for grabs over the next six weeks, 6 Friday nights in succession. You can share in up to $2,500 worth of cash every night simply by having a $10 or more win bet on every single race, and you'll go into the leaderboard and you could get, sharing $2,500 of cash straight back into your TwinSpires account.
Not too bad. We'll be back with shows for the other 5 Fridays that are going to be part of this promotion. Thanks again, Jessica. Thanks again, Andrew. I'm Peter Thomas Fornatale for TwinSpires.com.